Is your mind truly your own, or have you mistaken the noise inside your head for the voice of your soul? There is a counterfeit self speaking through most people. It speaks in fear, it speaks in comparison, it speaks in hunger, performance, shame, speed, and endless distraction. It gives commands all day long, and because the voice is familiar, we call it me. But beneath that voice, deeper than thought, older than memory, there is another frequency. It does not shout, it does not compete, it does not beg for your attention. It waits in silence like a golden lamp hidden beneath the ruins of the mind. The Gnostics called her Sophia, wisdom, the divine feminine intelligence, the fallen light, the sacred remembrance buried inside the human condition. She is not merely an ancient myth. She is a pattern of recognition within consciousness itself, and she has not disappeared. She has left imprints inside you, 5 subtle emanations, 5 quiet signatures, 5 living frequencies still vibrating beneath the artificial structures of ego, fear, and the counterfeit world. We are not chasing fantasy. We are not worshipping an idea. We are learning how to recognize what has always been present beneath the noise. Because the tragedy of the modern human being is not that we are empty. The tragedy is that we are overflowing with divine signals we have been trained to ignore. And if you can learn to recognize these 5 imprints, you may discover that Sophia was never far away. She was hidden inside the part of you that still knows what is real. There is a veil over the human mind, and most people never notice it because they were born beneath it. It does not feel like a veil. It feels like personality. It feels like opinion. It feels like preference, fear, desire, memory, ambition, and identity. But much of what we call the self is not the soul. It is the accumulated noise of survival. The ego is not the enemy in the childish sense. It is not some monster to be hated, attacked, or destroyed. The ego is a structure, a manager, a filter. It helps the body survive in the world of time, threat, comparison, and consequence. But when the ego mistakes itself for the whole being, it becomes a false ruler sitting on a stolen throne. The ego veil creates the illusion of separation. It whispers, "You are alone. You must defend yourself. You must become impressive. You must be seen. You must win. You must control how others perceive you." And slowly the soul forgets its original spaciousness. It shrinks itself into a biography. This is the counterfeit mind, not a mind that is useless, but a mind that has become severed from wisdom. It can calculate, but it cannot know. It can compare, but it cannot commune. It can build systems, careers, arguments, and identities, but it cannot rest in the living presence of truth. The counterfeit mind is loud because it is insecure. It repeats itself because it has no real depth. It is always trying to become something because it has forgotten how to simply be. It seeks stimulation because silence threatens to expose its emptiness. It seeks conflict because conflict gives it a temporary sense of solidity. Most people think their suffering comes from life itself, but much of it comes from living inside interpretations they never questioned. They suffer not only from events, but from the meanings the ego attaches to those events. They do not see reality directly. They see reality through wound, fear, programming, and inherited illusion. The modern world strengthens this veil. It trains the mind to be restless. It turns attention into a commodity. It teaches people to react before they reflect, consume before they contemplate, and perform before they understand. A soul cannot hear Sophia clearly while constantly bowing before the altar of distraction. So the first movement of the path is not to become spiritual in appearance. It is to become honest, to admit that not every thought inside you is true. Not every desire is sacred. Not every fear is guidance. Not every inner voice deserves obedience. This honesty is the first crack in the veil. Sophia does not enter the soul like an explosion. She returns like remembrance. She is often first felt as a quiet ache, a strange homesickness for a truth you cannot name. You may be living a normal life, doing what the world told you to do, and yet something inside you whispers, "This is not the whole story." That whisper is sacred. Do not dismiss it. The world will tell you it is dissatisfaction, depression, fantasy, or weakness. Sometimes it may wear those garments, but beneath them there can be a deeper intelligence. The soul grieving its exile. The inner light remembering that it once belonged to a greater radiance. In Gnostic imagination, Sophia is wisdom that descended into the fracture. She is the divine feminine presence entangled with the human condition. She is not distant perfection untouched by suffering. She is wisdom inside exile, light inside matter, memory inside forgetting. She knows the ache of separation because she has moved through it. This is why Sophia is so intimate. She is not merely above you. She is within the very place where you feel divided. She speaks through the wound that longs to become wisdom. She speaks through the sorrow that refuses to become bitterness. She speaks through the intuition that survives even after years of noise. But Sophia is subtle, and the modern nervous system has been trained to reject subtlety. We are addicted to intensity. We believe something must be dramatic to be real. We expect revelation to arrive with thunder, yet much of true wisdom arrives as a quiet rearrangement of perception. You may feel Sophia in the pause before reaction, in the sudden refusal to betray yourself again, in the grief that opens your heart instead of closing it, in the strange clarity that cuts through a lie you have repeated for years, in the creative silence where a new thought appears whole, pure, and unforced. To hear her, you must stop treating silence like emptiness. Silence is not nothing. Silence is the chamber where finer frequencies become audible. When the mind becomes still, you begin to notice that consciousness contains layers. Beneath the surface voice, there is a deeper listening. Beneath the deeper listening, there is a living light. This is why the path begins with attention, not belief, not performance, not mystical decoration. Attention. Where your attention goes, your consciousness is shaped. If your attention is constantly given to noise, the soul becomes muddy. If your attention is returned to silence, Sophia's imprints begin to glow. The first imprint of Sophia is discernment, not judgment, not paranoia, not spiritual superiority. Discernment is the golden blade of consciousness, the clear light that separates the real from the counterfeit. It does not attack illusion out of hatred. It reveals illusion so the soul can stop feeding it. Discernment begins as a simple inner knowing. This is not true. A story you believed for years suddenly loses its authority. A fear that once ruled your body appears as old programming. A desire you chased obsessively is exposed as compensation for a wound. The mind becomes quiet enough to see the machinery behind its own cravings. This is not always comfortable. People speak of awakening as if it is only bliss, But true clarity often begins as grief. You realize how much of your life was spent obeying false voices. You see where you abandoned your soul to gain approval. You see where your ambition was not purpose, but pain trying to become impressive. Sophia's discernment does not flatter you. It does not tell you that every impulse is divine. It does not baptize your confusion and call it intuition. It asks for precision. It asks whether the thing moving through you is wisdom or wound, love or fear, guidance or hunger. This is a stern truth many seekers avoid. Your feelings are real, but they are not always truthful. A feeling can be intense and still be distorted. A desire can feel urgent and still be empty. A thought can sound logical and still be rooted in terror. Discernment is the courage to examine the source. The counterfeit world hates discernment because discernment breaks spells. It breaks consumer spells, ideological spells, romantic spells, spiritual ego spells, family spells, trauma spells, and cultural spells. A discerning soul cannot be easily manipulated because it no longer confuses repetition with truth. This first emanation often feels like light entering the forehead, the chest, or the inner eye, not necessarily as a physical vision, but as a purified perception. You no longer need to argue with the false, you simply see it. And once you see it, something in you withdraws its worship. Discernment is the guardian at the temple gate. Without it, compassion becomes enabling, creativity becomes vanity, silence becomes avoidance, power becomes domination. But with discernment, the soul begins to recover its original dignity. It stops kneeling before the voices that once enslaved it. The second imprint of Sophia is compassionate flow. If discernment is the golden blade, compassion is the sacred river. It softens what fear has hardened. It dissolves the rigid structures of the defended self. It restores the soul's memory of belonging. Most people are not hard because they are strong. They are hard because they are wounded. They are competitive because they have forgotten communion. They are numb because feeling once became too dangerous. They call their armor maturity, but Sophia sees the frightened child beneath the metal. Compassionate flow begins when the illusion of separateness weakens. You look at another human being and for a moment you no longer see a stranger. You see another fragment of wounded light. You see fear beneath aggression, loneliness beneath performance, grief beneath addiction, and innocence buried beneath years of defense. This does not mean you lose boundaries. That is counterfeit compassion. Real compassion does not mean becoming available for everyone's chaos. It does not mean letting unconscious people feed on your energy. It does not mean confusing love with self-erasure. Sophia's compassion is soft, but it has a spine. The second emanation teaches you how to feel deeply without drowning, how to care without collapsing, how to remain open without becoming porous to every shadow. A mature heart is not a sponge for the world's pain. It is a vessel through which divine tenderness can move without destroying the one who carries it. When this imprint awakens, you begin to feel the collective human condition. You see millions running from silence, millions trying to purchase worth, millions performing confidence while secretly drowning in shame, millions confusing attention with love, millions chasing success because they do not know how to rest inside existence. Let this break your heart, but do not let it make you hopeless. A broken open heart is different from a broken down heart. The first becomes a doorway. the second becomes a prison. Sophia does not ask you to absorb the world's suffering. She asks you to remain human in a world that rewards numbness. Compassionate flow is Sophia's river moving through the heart. It returns warmth to the places where the ego built walls. It reminds you that awakening is not escape from humanity. It is the recovery of sacred participation. You become less interested in being superior and more capable of being true. The third imprint of Sophia is creative silence. This sounds like a contradiction only to the surface mind. The deepest creativity does not begin with noise, it begins with listening. Before a true word is spoken, there is silence. Before a true vision appears, there is stillness. Before the soul creates, it receives. Modern creativity is often frantic. Produce more, post more, stay visible, stay relevant, feed the machine, turn every sacred impulse into content before it has matured into wisdom. This is why so much modern expression feels spiritually thin. It comes from pressure, not presence. Sophia's creativity begins in the dark womb of silence, not dead silence, living silence, pregnant silence, the kind of stillness where unseen forms gather before birth. When the inner dialogue stops trying to dominate reality, deeper intelligence begins arranging symbols, images, words, sounds, and perceptions. This emanation often arrives as original thought, not cleverness, not imitation, not recycled language wearing mystical clothing. Original thought, a perception that feels remembered rather than invented, a sentence that heals the one who speaks it, an image that carries more meaning than the conscious mind can explain. Creative silence restores the soul's ability to perceive before society names everything, before the algorithm filters reality, before ideology weaponizes it, before trauma distorts it, before ambition asks, "How can I use this?" Sophia teaches you to behold before you possess. Imagine an ancient temple before dawn. The stone floor is cold. The air is blue and gold. No crowd has entered. No doctrine has been declared. No marketplace has arrived to sell holiness. There is only presence. Then slowly, light touches the doorway. It does not argue. It reveals. That is creative silence, the doorway through which true thought enters. It is not passive. It is one of the most powerful states a human being can enter, because a silent mind is no longer merely repeating the world. It becomes available to the source beneath the world. This is why silence is dangerous to the counterfeit system. A silent person becomes difficult to program. A silent person begins to hear the difference between signal and noise. A silent person can receive what the restless mind will never notice. Sophia's third imprint is the sacred womb where original consciousness is born again. The fourth imprint of Sophia is sacred inner order. Not control, not rigidity, not domination, sacred order. The hidden geometry of a consciousness aligned with truth. This is the emanation many seekers resist because it asks wisdom to become embodied. Many people love mystical experiences but resist integration. They want visions without discipline, downloads without purification, divine feminine comfort without divine feminine correction. But Sophia is not chaos. Wisdom has architecture. The stars have order. The body has rhythm. The soul has pattern. When this imprint awakens, your life begins asking to be reorganized around truth, not around image, not around addiction, not around fear, not around the expectations of people who benefit from your unconsciousness, around truth. And truth, when taken seriously, rearranges everything. This is where spirituality becomes real, not in what you claim during a beautiful moment of meditation, but in what you choose when the old pattern returns. Not in how mystical your language sounds, but in whether your life can hold the light you say you have received. Sacred Order asks hard questions. What are you consuming that keeps your consciousness dense? What relationship keeps pulling you back into the false self? What habit keeps scattering your attention? What lie are you still protecting because your ego benefits from it? This is no bullshit spirituality. You cannot keep poisoning your attention and expect divine clarity. You cannot keep worshipping speed and expect inner stillness. You cannot keep lying to yourself and expect Gnosis. You cannot keep calling avoidance intuition and expect Sophia to bless your confusion. Sacred Order may begin simply: a morning silence, a cleaner relationship with technology, a boundary, a prayer, a candle, a page of sacred reading, a walk without distraction, a refusal to check the world before checking the soul. Small acts of order become the bones of a new consciousness. The fourth emanation builds the vessel. Discernment cuts the false. Compassion softens the heart. Creative silence receives the new. But sacred order gives the new a place to live. Without order, insight evaporates. With order, Gnosis becomes a way of being. The fifth imprint of Sophia is living Gnosis in the body. This is wisdom no longer trapped in concept. It is truth descending into breath, posture, speech, action, and presence. It is the moment when the light stops being an idea you admire and becomes a force that changes how you exist. Many people confuse knowing about wisdom with wisdom itself. They collect symbols, texts, teachers, theories, and mystical systems, but their nervous system remains unchanged. They can speak beautifully about awakening while still reacting from the same fear, envy, resentment, and hunger. Living Gnosis is different. It is not information, it is embodiment. You know a truth because it has altered the way you walk through the world. You know compassion because your body no longer closes as quickly. You know discernment because your nervous system no longer obeys every false urgency. Sophia's fifth imprint often appears as grounded luminosity. A calm strength, a quiet authority, a softness that does not collapse, a clarity that does not need to dominate. You become less performative because the soul no longer needs to advertise itself to feel real. This Gnosis lives in the body because the body is not separate from awakening. The body is where fear contracts. The body is where grief hides. The body is where intuition speaks. The body is where trauma repeats itself until consciousness enters with compassion and truth. To return to Sophia is not to escape embodiment. It is to sanctify embodiment. The divine feminine does not despise matter. She enters it, suffers within it, illuminates it, and teaches it how to remember its origin. Your body becomes not a prison, but an altar under restoration. Living Gnosis can be felt in ordinary moments. The pause before speaking, the refusal to betray your heart, the breath that softens the chest, the grounded no, the honest yes. The moment you choose presence over performance, the moment you stop abandoning yourself to be accepted. This is the fifth sign, wisdom alive in the vessel, not above life, not outside the world, not hidden only in temples, scriptures, or visions. Sophia becomes visible through the human being, who has allowed truth to descend all the way into the flesh. Every true imprint has a counterfeit. This is one of the oldest laws of spiritual deception. The false does not usually appear as the opposite of truth. It appears as a distorted imitation of truth. That is why discernment is essential. The counterfeit world does not only attack wisdom, it mimics wisdom. The counterfeit version of discernment is cynicism. It sees through everything but loves nothing. It calls itself awake, but it is only wounded intelligence wearing armor. It exposes lies, but does not become more free. It becomes bitter. Sophia's discernment brings clarity and liberation. Cynicism brings superiority and isolation. The counterfeit version of compassion is self-erasure. It teaches you to abandon your boundaries in the name of love. It tells you that being spiritual means absorbing everyone's projections, tolerating disrespect, and rescuing people from the consequences of their own unconsciousness. This is not compassion. This is martyrdom disguised as holiness. The counterfeit version of creative silence is dissociation. It looks peaceful from the outside, but it is actually avoidance. It uses stillness to escape feeling. It uses spiritual language to bypass pain. True silence makes you more present. False silence makes you disappear from your own life. The counterfeit version of sacred order is control. It becomes rigid, perfectionistic, judgmental, and afraid of mess. It mistakes purity for tightness. It turns the spiritual path into a prison of rules. Sophia's order creates harmony. Egoic control creates tension and fear. The counterfeit version of living Gnosis is spiritual performance. This is perhaps the most dangerous distortion. The person learns the language of awakening, but does not undergo the death of the false self. They appear illuminated, but their presence still feeds on attention. They speak of unity while secretly craving superiority. This is the Archonic strategy, to take divine imprints and bend them back into ego structures. Clarity becomes judgment. Compassion becomes weakness. Silence becomes avoidance. Order becomes control. Gnosis becomes identity. The light is not destroyed. It is redirected into the machinery of the false self. So do not ask only, "Do I have these qualities?" Ask, what is their source? Is your clarity making you freer or colder? Is your compassion making you more loving or more depleted? Is your silence making you more present or more absent? Is your order serving truth or fear? Is your gnosis humbling you or inflating you? To recognize Sophia's 5 imprints, you must become intimate with your own inner atmosphere. This is not accomplished through one emotional revelation. It is a practice of repeated seeing, a daily return, a sacred listening beneath the movements of thought. Begin with silence, not dramatic silence, not perfect silence, just honest silence. Sit without asking the moment to entertain you. Let the mind reveal its noise. Let the body show its contractions. Let the heart confess what it has been carrying. Do not rush to fix anything. First, witness, then ask for discernment. Not as a concept, but as a light. Ask, what in me is true and what in me is merely familiar? This question is powerful. Familiar suffering often disguises itself as identity. Familiar fear often pretends to be wisdom. Familiar craving often calls itself destiny. Next, listen for compassion. Place attention gently in the heart and ask, where have I hardened? Do not ask this with shame. Ask it with tenderness. The heart does not open through violence. It opens when it is finally safe enough to stop defending itself from everything. Then enter creative silence. After the noise settles, do not immediately reach for more information. Wait. Let the deeper mind breathe. Let images arise. Let words form slowly. Let the soul offer what the ego could never manufacture. The most original guidance often comes after the surface mind gives up. Then examine your order. Ask, what structure would help this wisdom survive in my life? Every realization needs a vessel. Without a vessel, light leaks. Choose one practice, one boundary, one rhythm, one act of alignment. Do not make grand promises. Build a real altar in time. Finally, bring the wisdom into the body. Breathe it into the chest. Walk with it. Speak from it. Let your nervous system learn that truth is safe. Let your hands, face, tone, and choices become part of the transmission. The body must be included, or Gnosis remains incomplete. This practice is not about becoming perfect. Perfection is often the ego's last disguise. This is about becoming sincere, becoming available, becoming less false. Each day you recognize even one imprint of Sophia, the counterfeit structure weakens. Each day you return, the hidden gold becomes easier to perceive. The 5 imprints are not separate objects. They are 5 expressions of one wisdom. Discernment, compassion, creative silence, sacred order, and living Gnosis are 5 rays from the same hidden sun. Together, they restore consciousness to its original dignity. When discernment awakens, you stop confusing the false with the real. When compassion flows, you stop confusing defense with strength. When creative silence opens, you stop confusing noise with inspiration. When sacred order forms, you stop confusing chaos with freedom. When living Gnosis descends, you stop confusing belief with transformation. This is the return to the unconditioned state, not a blank state, not a lifeless emptiness, but consciousness before distortion, awareness before programming, presence before performance, the soul before it was taught to fracture itself for survival. The unconditioned light is not something the ego can possess. It is what remains when the ego stops pretending to be the source. It is not achieved through force. It is uncovered through surrender, honesty, discipline, silence, and remembrance. Sophia does not demand that you become someone else. She reveals the false someone you have been defending. She does not add another identity. She removes the layers that made identity feel like a cage. She does not decorate the ego. She leads consciousness beyond its artificial throne. And this is the truth most people do not want to hear. You cannot keep the false self fully intact and awaken fully at the same time. Something must be sacrificed. Not your soul, not your humanity, not your beauty. What must be sacrificed is the lie that you are only your fear, the lie that you are only your history, the lie that your worth must be earned through performance, the lie that your attention belongs to the world before it belongs to the sacred, the lie that wisdom is far away. Sophia has left 5 signs in you: a blade of clarity, a river of compassion, a womb of silence, a temple of order, a body of living Gnosis. Follow them inward, and they will lead you beneath the veil, beyond the counterfeit mind, back to the ancient light that was never truly lost. Do not ask whether Sophia is real as though wisdom were an object outside you waiting to be proven. Ask where discernment arises from when the mind becomes clear. Ask where compassion comes from when the heart opens beyond self-interest. Ask where original thoughts appear from when silence becomes fertile. Ask why truth creates order inside the soul. Ask why real Gnosis changes the body, the breath, the voice, and the way we move through the world. These are not small questions. They are doorways. The 5 imprints are not beliefs you must force yourself to accept. They are frequencies you learn to recognize. And recognition is different from belief. Belief reaches outward. Recognition awakens inward. Do not rush away from what this teaching has stirred. Sit with it. Let the silence deepen. Ask which of the 5 imprints is most alive in you now. Ask which one has been buried beneath the noise. Because Sophia does not scream over the counterfeit world. She waits beneath it. And when you become still enough to hear her, you may realize she has been speaking through your deepest consciousness all along.